Now, we feel as strongly about our mothers as we do about the Prophet Muhammad. That doesn't mean you can't discuss what he says, the message he brings.
People in this country put up with being offended.
Walking
down the street, you get offended. There's somebody wearing something you don't like, or you
absolutely, and we get
offended. It's part of being grown up. It's just accepting the fact that you get your feelings trodden upon. Does it mean you have to deliberately tread on people's feelings? No, not necessarily.
Exactly.
But what you cannot do is to ring fence one ideology through fear, intimidation, or anything else. And that is what we see happening. That's what Ben L's going to say.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are good. Guys, today we're going to be reacting to Just Grow Up. Douglas Murray confronts offended Muslim activists with painful truths. Guys, let's go right down to this.
Miriam, you wanted to come back in.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, there are certainly things that are offensive, but do we need to offend people by saying them? I mean, there's a way of saying things. We can discuss the institution of the monarchy in this country without insulting the Queen. It therefore makes it perfectly reasonable and possible to discuss, I think, the tenets and beliefs of any other religion without insulting sensibilities.
So insulting sensibilities, that's interesting. Without insulting sensibilities. Okay, some Muslims think that music and dancing are haram and should be forgiven, not forgiven. Wrong word, Freudian slip, forbidden, haram, that it's forbidden. So if I were to say, music, forbidden, haram, that is just bonkers. Now some people are going to find that extremely offensive, aren't they? Have I offended sensibilities? Do I have the right to say that?
I think if people that are used to having debates within the interfaith debates are pretty familiar with the codes and practices of different religions and understand where those boundaries lie. And certainly that would not be one of those boundaries. But there are certain things that even people with no religion would find offensive. If I was to come on TV and start insulting, you know, I mean, I hate to be crass, but your mother, that would be extremely offensive. Now, we feel as strongly about our mothers as we do about the Prophet Muhammad. That doesn't mean you can't discuss what he says, the message he brings.
People in this country put up with being offended. Walking down the street, you get offended. There's somebody wearing something you don't like, or you get offended. It's part of being grown up. It's just accepting the fact that you get your feelings trodden upon. Does it mean you have to deliberately tread on people's feelings? No, not necessarily.
Exactly.
But what you cannot do is to ring fence one ideology through fear, intimidation, or anything else. And that is what we see happening. That's what Ben L's going to say.
Professor, you've obviously, I mean, a lot of people have taken offence at some of the things that you've written. You know, they feel personally offended because they feel that their faith, which is so dear to them, and their belief, which they cherish, has, you know, you're criticising it. Do you think about that?
I don't go out of my way to offend.
No, but do you think about the possible consequences?
If people are offended, then they may argue against me. All I use is words. There's a radical distinction between using words and violence, and incitement to violence. The Salman Rushdie affair brings this out. Salman Rushdie simply wrote a book. That's what he did. He wrote a book. He was threatened with death. He was threatened with death by baying crowds in this country. People burned his books. They demanded the death penalty.
And some leading parliamentarians suggested that the paperback shouldn't come out.
Some leading parliamentarians, some leading clergymen, some leading bishops sided with the Ayatollah Khomeini rather than sided with this very distinguished novelist who did no more than put words on paper. That is a radical distinction.
Can I let Miriam come back in and discuss this with you,
I do sort of feel like we're talking about issues in a vacuum here. I mean, you're talking about the fatwa against Salman Rushdie. Are we forgetting that we're talking about Khomeini? Are we forgetting that we're talking about the 1979 revolution and the context in which that was occurring? And similarly, when we talk about, you know, the reaction, the highly unacceptable, violent reaction of some Muslims, I would like to add, to films like Geert Wilders' films and Van Gogh's film, etc. You know, we're almost talking like it's completely decontextualized. It's not happening in a vacuum.
Okay.
Muslims around the world feel victimized.
So guys, I'm just going to put this out there because I've been watching so many of the Murray's videos, and not just that, even like when you go to YouTube to search for videos to watch, and even TikTok, it's more like a lot of Muslims feel like they are victims. They feel on daily basis, they feel like they're being attacked. But like I said, I'm putting this out there. I feel it goes to everybody, even Christians, because people like do criticize different religions on daily basis, and that's because they're allowed to do so. Because most people now feel, okay, it's more like you're trying to restrict someone from being able to discuss their opinion, their view freely. I mean, it's a free society and these things are allowed to do so. It doesn't mean you should like do it purposely to hurt the person just because you want to express your view, because some people like do these things to actually annoy some people, but like some people just have like normal views and opinions toward these things, and like they want to say it because it's allowed to do so. I mean, it's okay. I may not like something. I mean, me as a Christian, I may not like something that a Muslim is doing, and I just feel like, oh, I should say this, especially when it comes to terrorism and when people are talking about this. Like, you just want to say this thing. Same way a Muslim may see something that a Christian is doing, and they're like, I don't think this thing like makes sense. I don't think it aligns with the religion, or if it is what the religion says they should do, then it's probably wrong. These are things that people should be able to talk about. I'm also a Christian, and like there's so many things I do see many Christians in this present day doing, and then I tend to think I don't really think this thing aligns with like the Bible, the word of God, and I'm like, nah. So like it just, everybody's allowed to say what they want to say, to express their view, their opinion, their ideologies, and yeah, it's a free society, like I said. So like criticism is allowed of all topics. It's more like people want to like criticize whatever you want to criticize, but when it comes to religion, don't do that.